As many of you know, we are looking at the fourth commandment in our call to confession the last several weeks. And just last week in our exhortation, KJ reminded us that the command was not just to rest on the Lord's day, but that we needed to be working the other 6 days. I'm going to reread the command from Exodus 20, 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. You, or your son, or your daughter, your male servant, or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. As we look to the Westminster Larger Catechism as a guide, question 117 asks us this: how is the Sabbath, or the Lord's day, to be sanctified? And the divines answered the question like this: the Sabbath, or the Lord's day, is to be sanctified by a holy resting all the day, not only from such works as are at all times sinful, but even from such worldly employments and recreations as are on other days lawful, and making it our delight to spend the whole time, except so much of it as to be taken up in works of necessity and mercy, in the public and private exercises of God's worship. And to that end we are to prepare our hearts, and with such foresight, diligence, and moderation, to dispose and seasonably dispatch our worldly business, that we may be more free and fit for the duties of that day. What we are told to refrain from on the Lord's day is not just sin, of course. Just because it's the Lord's day, we are not to rest from obeying our moms and dads. We are not to rest from loving our wives or from respecting our husbands. We understand that we are not to sin on Sundays. Those are things that are sins every day of the week. But just as we are not to sin on the Lord's day, we are also to refrain from things that are good and lawful on the other 6 days. We are even to rest from things that we are commanded to do the rest of the week. If you are regularly working on Sunday, you will get a visit from KJ and I. If you are saving all your homework for after church, we will give your parents a hard stare. If you regularly do side gigs and work calls on Sunday, stop it. And if your recreational activities, your sports teams play regular season games on Sunday, you ought to reconsider those commitments. All those things are good and excellent. We love hard work. We love side gigs and homework, because for some of you, we both assign the homework and are also responsible to seeing that it gets done. And sports, we love all those things. Do all those things to the best of your ability, as unto God, and with all your strength. Just do them all week long, and then thank God for the chance to come to the Lord's house on the Lord's day to worship, and then go home and rest, or go to a park, or enjoy a beautiful Sunday drive. Take a nap, read a book, play a game with your kids, or play catch in the yard. And if this feels like a burden or hard legalism, you really need to stop and check yourself. God is telling you to take a day off. How many of you feel obligated by your boss to take the 4th of July off, or Christmas, or Thanksgiving? Do you feel like it is legalism to have to stay home and eat turkey and pie? Why is it a blessing when the state gives you a day off, and a burden when God gives you one? Well, since we do feel burdened by God's gift of a holiday, and since we do not yet know how to celebrate as we should, and by God's grace someday we will, let us confess this sin and all our sins. If you are able, please kneel with me and pray, first privately to yourself, and then corporately praying the prayer printed in your bulletin.